I can't talk right now. Podcast. We're live, mate. We are live.
Are we live?
Yep, we're live.
Oh, yeah, there it says 52 seconds ago.
Bang.
Hello to all of our friends and family that were watching that. We were just kind of semi-quiet. How are you, Damo?
I'm great. Thank you,
Oh.
Pearsy. Great. Thank you very
It
much.
just says this live video has ended. We must have done a really little live. Oh, no,
No.
we're live again now.
Yeah. So there should be two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gee whiz.
Should be two.
Having a meltdown. Good to see you. We're both a little bit sore from our respective pec major push-ups that we're doing, but you are looking $1,000,000.
So you,
like
Pearsy.
$1 trillion.
So
I haven't done
are
my
you.
hair, but I'm feeling good. I'm a bit tired. We're both a bit weary, aren't we? It's all this work and exercise and
Yes.
actually lack of fresh air. And I'm busting to have a glass of water.
Are
And
you?
my kids are out there, school holidays.
Right.
And I'd love some chocolate. I'd love a cup of tea. My hand-to-mouth ex-cigarette smoker addiction really needs something to pacify itself. But I'm stuck. I'm stuck with you and a microphone
Well,
and our 100 not out trial.
That's not a bad thing to be stuck with. Is just me. So
No, that's
just-
it. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do something. I'm going to share this. Oh, how do I do it? Share post with the public. No. I wanted to share this.
you can share
You
it.
were saying you can share with all these people.
Yeah, in all of your groups. That's how you do it.
Oh well, I'll figure it out when we're not live next time. All right. Well, we've got a great episode today. A real ball terror, a real rip snorter, a real rib tiggler.
Yeah.
Are you ready to rock?
Yep.
All right.
I am.
You sure? Because I feel like you got something. It's like I don't know if you're scratching your legs or.
No, what I had to do was just get that live going. That was all. So I just wanted to make sure I was doing that. So
Helen Pocock is in the building. Helen, did I reply to your email?
always so good, Helen. She's always there.
She's a dead set legend.
So quick. She's amazing.
All right. I'm ready to rock. You ready to rock?
Sure am, mate. Sure am.
Okay, here we go.
Sure am.
In 3, 2, and 1. Hello and welcome to 100 Not Out, a weekly show dedicated to helping you master the art of aging well. Marcus Pearce here with you for the 420th time, I believe,
Hey, we're
on
flying.
this podcast with one of the world's, if not the number one wellness expert in the known universe, past, present, and future. I speak of none other than Dr. Damien Christoph. Hello, legend.
Hello, legend. Thank you for your kind introduction. I never know how to respond because they're always so kind, and I need to probably work a few out to best bounce back at you. But it is so great always to hear you, to see you, and I do, as much as I'd love to be in person, I do love these little chats that we have pretty much every single week.
I've got a controversial statement for you for the very beginning. I think our digital episodes where we are on Skype, we're better on 100 Not Out when we're like this.
Yeah.
We're better in real life when we're together.
Yeah.
Like that's a fact. But that's largely because of the way that you entertain and the way that I drink all of your drink and eat all of your food and
Use
the rest of
my
it.
coconut oil.
Use your coconut oil on all types of places and on all types of faces. But what I think is really good is I do love this digital engagement that we have. Anyway, moving right along.
Yes.
So I was listening to SEN 1116 this morning, my old stomping ground. No, I wasn't actually. I was listening to a former old stomping ground, what used to be called Sport 927, which is now called RSN. Anyway, and I was listening to the captain of the Melbourne Football Club talk about, his name is Max Gawn for people that don't know football, and don't worry, this is not about sport, this episode. And Max Gawn was saying that his teammate, Sam Wiedemann, has gone on, in Max's words, the full meat diet. The full meat diet.
Oh, yeah.
Sam Wiedemann has gone on the full meat diet, as what you and I would call the carnivore diet, and what the hosts, Adam White, a former colleague of mine, hello Whitey, and Daniel Harford said, what is the full meat diet, Max? And Max kind of really didn't know how to answer it. He said, He just has a porterhouse for breakfast. And what I think is interesting about this, and it didn't come up in conversation, but I was busting to ask it, is that Sam Wiedemann's teammate, who will be his brother from another mother in the forward line, is a man by the name of Ben Brown, who is, not many people know, a raging vegan. So we have in the Melbourne forward line to come, Big Ben Brown, who will not touch a duck, a chicken, a cow.
I didn't know that about Benny Brown.
And anything. No, that's right. Very little spoke about. Ben Brown is a vegan, and Sam Wiedemann is now on the carnivore diet. And this, great man, is the perfect segue for us to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, the right, the wrong, the myths, the truths, the history and the future of food, and more specifically, the role of diet in longevity and the now. Because if two teammates are on the opposite diets, I think that just goes to show that, and when I say opposite, like the poles apart could not be any wider.
No.
I think that just really goes to show how, I don't want to say divided, that's not the right word, because I'm not trying to intimate that Sam Wiedemann and Ben Brown are arguing or anything. They're not. They're just going about their lives differently. Yeah. But we have got such a wide, we've almost got such a wide choice, but such a wide gap in beliefs around food.
Totally. But it's so fascinating to me, Piercy, because everyone bangs on about research. Oh, there's no research for this, or there's no research for that, and they're looking for the evidence. And so they go, oh, what's the evidence for a carnivore diet? And they go, oh, people who lived 1,000 years ago or 10,000 years ago, cavemen, who only lived to 30 years old, by the way.
Yeah.
Only ate animals.
No one seems to talk about that, Matt.
No, right. You know, they didn't have to worry about chronic diseases. So there's no such thing as diabetes or heart disease back then because they didn't live that long. Like they were still basically just finished breastfeeding, and then all of a sudden they get eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. So it didn't matter what they ate, really. Then you got the vegans, and all the research around veganism leads to the potential to be really healthy. However, there's not a lot of longevity in being a vegan, and
we're still looking for one.
We're still looking for a centenarian who's a raging vegan, but I can't ever see that actually happening. I just think there's too many nutritional insufficiencies in that, right? And we're designed to be, a blend. We're meant to be omnivorous. So I find it really interesting that people bang on about everything with regards to, there's no evidence for that, or there's no science behind that. But they're quite happy to go off a Facebook post or an Instagram bikini wearing Insta famous influencer who's doing a particular type of eating because he or she read another Instagram post or a Facebook feed that said that this is what our ancestors did and that's the way we should go. So there's the evidence thing, which is really interesting, which determines the way in which some people would decide upon what they're going to eat or how they're going to live, has big flaws in it, in that it's only used selectively. So people are looking for evidence for some things, but ignore the evidence for other things in favor of what's convenient. And I think that's a challenge for us, and I see that. I look at, one of Ben Brown's biggest fans, his name's Leo Stafford. Leo is a little champion, and he loved Brownie until he moved to Melbourne Football Club because he was North Melbourne. Now he hates his guts. He said to me yesterday, Ben Brown, he can get stuffed. But he's a vegan, this young kid, and he would look up to Ben Brown even more now that he knows he's a vegan, because he's a vegan. But it worries me that people would follow the leader in this case and go down that dietary pathway or approach without actually being solid about it, understanding the impact of it, and understanding the flaws in each of these programs.
Okay, so I love everything you've said here. So I want to break open some of what you said, because I had a chat with our a mutual dear friend, Cindy O'Meara, just yesterday talking about intelligence and philosophy. And there are a lot of intelligent people at the moment that are doing, for want of a better term, well, they think they're doing intelligent things, but one might beg to differ. But I was saying that we don't have enough room in society at the moment for philosophy because we're all about right versus wrong. And I think what you're referring to when I think about research, often in chiropractic there's references. Oh, where's the research? In meditation, there's like, well, where's the research with meditation? In gratitude went down this massive path of doing research, which I kind of find hilarious because it's not something that I believe like requires research, but I probably believe chiropractic doesn't require research and meditation doesn't require research. And I really don't believe that diet requires research because the proof is always in the pudding or the taste of the pudding. But we have, and I'd love to unpack this one day, we've become so research obsessed where it's almost like a humble brag. How you going? Oh, I'm so busy. It's like, oh, hey, I'm meditating. Oh, where's the research? Oh, hey, I'm going to the chiropractor. Oh, where's the research? Oh, hey, I'm going vegan. Oh, where's the research? It's like, well, hold on a minute. Like, can't our behavior and our experiences be the research? But here's one reason why it probably can't be. Most research in my experience, and Damo, feel free to fill in the gaps here, but I've got in my book, there's 140 footnotes of research. And it was the most inane part of putting the book together. But I said to Sarah last night because she like blew her brains out. She's like, I'd never write a book like that because she got scarred at university with doing chiro and having to put footnotes on everything. But we were saying that it adds in a world today, it adds credibility or meat on the bone or further reading or whatever it is. It adds something to the book. And that, for me, that's a problem. Because we now want someone we've never heard of who's done something we weren't in the lab, we weren't in the room, we weren't in the study, but we want to be skeptical, but we'll believe everything we read in a research study. But it's really hard to pinpoint one thing and then go, well, there you go, the research quantifies it. It must be right. Because as we've said many times on this podcast before, like, you could be on the best diet ever and not enjoy your life. You could be on the worst diet ever, but be gunning it, like going so well in life because you've got many other ingredients in the recipe. But you can't do research on that. Like, that's just, life cannot be researched. Rant over.
That's right. No, great. I just had to have a little cough. I had aspiration. They're aspirated. You're right. We have researched too much. We've relied on the research too much. The problem with that is that research and science was meant to help us ask better questions, not necessarily find the answers. There's no absolutes. For everything that we think is absolute, it'll be undone in a decade's time. It'll be totally new because vegan was once healthy and so was paleo and so was Mediterranean still is healthy. But there's a whole bunch of different things, different approaches that we kind of try to justify or validate by saying that there's research, but it will all be undone. It'll all get undone. So, unless you ignore it or unless you make someone bad for doing the counter argument, when we've seen that. So we've seen that something didn't cause a particular disease, shown in the research, published in the British Medical Journal, and then that person was forced to retract that article, called a fraud, and then thrown out out to the wolves because it went against the popular or populist opinion.
Yes. When the research defies everything that the research has shown in the past.
That's right. So if you go and you find an alternative view using research to the current popular view, then you could be thrown out with the wolves and called a heretic because science has now become a religion. So if you don't believe in the science, what do you believe science for? It's either right or wrong, good or bad, black or white. There's no belief in it. Belief is something that you have about something that is esoteric or something that you can't see it. It's not tangible, but you believe that it's there, right? maybe that's the presence of absolute science. Maybe that's why you've got to believe in it, because it doesn't freaking exist, right? So it's got to be more faith led in that respect. So maybe this is where the Church of Scientology is, getting strong. My thing here is that you can't have faith in science, because science is either right or wrong, and if it's right, ask a better question, and if it's wrong, ask a better question. That's what is supposed to happen with science. I'm not supposed to use it for validation.
That is so cool that you said that, because as I was listening, I wrote down Einstein and Hawking did all of his research. The more research he did, it was because he realized how wrong his previous research was.
Yes.
And exactly the same with Einstein. He was
Yes.
like, screw the science. I just keep on realizing how much there is I still need to know and learn.
Yeah.
That my previous research has not allowed. Like, he just kept on realizing how wrong he was. If that's not the right term, but that's in simple terms the way they said it. But that's because their philosophy was, this is not so absolute. And I think that's what you're saying. It's become so absolute that we've lost the art of independently thinking.
We've lost the art of inquiry, because we're so keen to get to the destination that we have to then find the proof, and then the proof becomes the absolute, as opposed to getting to a point where we go, okay, cool, so now we understand that part. How do we then understand the next part? It's almost like they've run out of questions. But there used to be a point when I was studying naturopathy and studying chiropractic, and I was back in university, it used to be, we really don't understand as much as what we think. But now that we've found out about genetics, and Newtonian physics has kind of reached our limit of understanding, or we've reached the limit of understanding of Newtonian physics, we're not prepared to go into the next level, which would be the metaphysical realm. Like, we're not moving into that space. We're stuck in Newtonian physics. So we go, well, what's the smallest component of Newtonian physics? And that's the atom. And so that we can't get past that. So all of the understanding is supposed to be around that. So then we go, well, why don't we create a vaccine that rewrites your DNA? We don't even know what the fuck that's going to do. Like, what's that all going to do to us? We don't know what happens with that. And there's a lack of inquiry about it, because if you find something wrong with this now, you are going to get thrown out to the wolves, and because you're against the popular opinion, right? So it does, you can see I'm getting worked up about it, because we're relying too much on an absolute answer, and people are in search of that absolute, and then they stop. It comes to a screeching halt.
So in many areas of life which require conversation, there is an art, a science, and a philosophy to pretty much every area of life.
Yes.
And I think what you're saying is, we have become so addicted to the science of everything in life that we have completely let go of the art. Let's use food as an example. We're all bogged down in the science of food, but the art of food and the philosophy of food, we've just pushed to one side. And that means we're now eating dinner in front of the TV. We're not thinking about the food, of where it's come from, the philosophy of which we'd like to eat, the way that we'd like to eat. So those art and philosophy is done. As long as the science backs it up, then this, meal that I'm eating is good because the science says so. But we're forgetting the other two very important pieces in the puzzle, the art and the philosophy. And that's the same with love and marriage, whether it's with work, whether it's with physical health, whether it's in spirit, friendships, whatever it is. Everything has an art and science and a philosophy to it.
Yeah, totally. However, philosophy has been one of those things that many colleges, because science and philosophy struggle to sit together unless there's an art. So the art is what joins the science and the philosophy. Unless there is an art to it, then philosophy is often discarded. And so you look at Melbourne University at the moment, they've dropped 3,000 courses from the curriculum to save money. 3,000 courses! Like, they've dropped. Most of them are to do with arts and philosophy. The science courses are still there, right? So if we go through the university system and go, science, 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 we are going to science the frick out of nature. You can't. Nature always rules. So you've got to have an understanding of the philosophical basis to life, or even inquiry about that. Then you've got to practice it, and then you've got to try and understand it. And science is really only meant to try and help you understand it. And you're meant to keep on asking questions rather than actually finding the answers. If we're, at the end of the day, if we're trying to find the meaning of life, we have to keep asking questions.
I think if I wanted a dinner table, if I wanted a dinner party, at the table, I would want artists, scientists, and philosophers. If I had a table full of scientists, I think I'd leave my own dinner party.
I know, right? I
And
know,
what you're
right?
telling me is that massive institutions are inviting scientists only to the dinner party. I'm not going. I'm not going. I'm
What's
I'm I'm not
yeah,
going to the party.
yeah. So they've identified what are the big money makers, and what will provide the country with a sustainable future. According to them, like they've done algorithms, science. They've scienced what is sustainable, and they've decided that engineering and science are really important. Medicine, maths, yada yada yada, all that sort of stuff. The stuff that doesn't encourage inquiry, essentially. And so
Wow.
that's a real worry. That's a real worry
Wow.
because we're already black and white here in Australia, and look at the problems that's creating. If you look at everything from inclusiveness, diversity, all these conversations around gender equality, we can rattle it all off. Even racism, it's all because of black and white that this became a problem. It all is because the problem is because if you're this and you're not that, then you can't do this, and this is the problem that we're going to face more and more as we keep on sciencing stuff. Right, so if we keep on looking for the absolutes and the science behind it, we're going to be more and more black and white. And so then there's got to be another set of rules, and these rules.
The whole idea of a university is you get all the budding artists, scientists, and
Yes.
philosophers together,
Yes.
and that creates better students for everyone,
Yeah.
and that creates better human beings.
Yes.
If we monopolize it, it doesn't allow for maturity. That's really quite concerning.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But it suits particular types of minds. But I don't look. I'm going to be a little bit contentious here. Look at the Chinese and the Buddhist culture within China, which is very philosophical and not science led, right? And they haven't really, like, the Buddhist culture, from an outsider looking in, because I have not studied Buddhism, appears to have not tried to remain modern or be populist. So if we look at Christianity and Catholicism, which is what I'm a Catholic and I'm Christian, and I heard the Pope the other day talk about a science topic as if it was more important than faith itself, right? And so I was thinking, hang on a second. The church used to be what you believed in, and now science is what you believed in. There's a competition between the church and science. It used to be that you would go to the priest for answers, and now you go to somebody else for answers. In Buddhism, you still visit the monks and you still live a particular way according to a philosophy, and you practice the art of Buddhism, and you acknowledge that science offers some answers and maybe helps you with further inquiry. That approach, for me, makes sense. So if we look at China, for example, and they're training up a lot of people in science, and they're training up a lot of people in maths, and they're training up a lot of people in economics, and they're training up a lot of people in the non-philosophical side of education and inquiry, which is a science approach. Because philosophy is entrenched within their race through religion, and it's still quite strong, they could come out very strong and very much on top because they haven't discarded the other two pillars of health and well-being, or life, which is the art and the philosophy. They're going strong in the science side of it, and we're going strong in the science side of it, but we're discarding the other stuff. We're discarding the philosophy.
It's
and
just
we're
like doing
it.
push-ups all day and not doing any squats or any crunches.
Uh-huh.
They're just going to end up with pecs that are way too big. Their brains are going to be too big.
Do you hear what I'm saying? Like, we are going down a slippery slope of ignorance because we're avoiding discussions around philosophy. And if you're too philosophical, you're seen to be an antagonist, someone who is not flying the party line, and maybe dangerous in terms of your lifestyle choices. because you're too philosophical, you're not scientific enough. But if you're too scientific, that's okay. You don't have to. That becomes your philosophy. That you're scientific, so you can be science. Like Jackson will say to me, "How cool is science?" I go, "Dude, it's nature." He goes, "No, it's science." I go, "Mate, science tries to explain what nature is." And he's just pushing my buttons. He knows that he's just pushing my buttons. But anyway.
And I was going to finish off your sentence by going, and if you're too artistic, people don't worry about you because they think you'll never make it anyway. And I'm like, gee whiz, what a mixture this is. This is concerning. So I want to finish on an up, and I'm going to handball this one to you, oh wise one, because you're a cycle of 7 older than I am. What do we do about this? If you're going to stand on a stage in front of 5,000 people and they go, Damo, like, is humanity done for, or can we actually do something about this? Like, what do? We don't want to make it sound like the next 50 years we're going into doom and gloom of hyper science and no art, no philosophy, and everything's going to be monopoled and we're going to end up with big brains but small hearts. Like, how do we actually go about this with a spirit of optimism? And I say this because I'm an optimist and I don't want to live in that world that you just described.
No, me neither. And I thought maybe I could escape that by going to New Zealand, but I think it's as bad as Australia. I think New Zealand. I would like to go to New Zealand, by the way. Thank God the bubble's open. But
yeah,
how do we? I would like to hear from our watchers and listeners. How do you think we can get back to being in the heart space as opposed to being stuck in this head space?
Well, Wendy Adams says, you guys talk too fast. I'm trying to read your subtitles. But
yeah, I know.
So Wendy might not be able to contribute because she's still catching. She's at the 10-minute mark, still trying to keep up with the words. Well, I think it'd be interesting to know what our listeners think, and you're more than welcome to connect with us on Facebook at 100 Not Out. Just spell it all out.
Yeah.
Drop us a line. Damien at DamienChristoff.com. Marcus at thewellnesscouch.com. As Alistair Mills says, everyone is a reflection of ourselves. I think, and you're spot on, Alistair. I think what I'm feeling as I hear you say it is that I would really hope that people that artistic or philosophical in their hearts don't feel the pressure to become scientists. And there's a great book called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. And it talks about, how doctors realize that they want to be musicians and they're a doctor for 30 years and they're all in the science, let's say, but they realize that there's an artist within them that they never let express. Or there's a great example of a lawyer who always wanted to become a pro golfer. Damo, you'd love this story. And he ended up quitting the law and committing his life to golf, and he made the pro tour.
Really?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I'll tell you. I don't know if I can tell you his name off the top of my head, but it's in The Artist's Way, and it's one of those stories.
That's what I want to do. I might stop being a chiro and doing that. Mark this day in history, Wednesday the 7th of April, episode 420 of 100 Not Out, could be the trigger for Damo moving on from chiropractic and going to pro golf.
Yeah. Well, if we give it to episode 840, you've got 8 years.
Okay.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
We'll check back in at episode 840.
That'll be perfect because at 55 I can join the Masters circuit.
Yep. There you go.
Done the research.
I love it. There you go. Done and dusted.
All right.
Alistair Mills is saying pineal gland decalcification. That just goes way over my head.
It's gone. I tried to catch that in my pineal gland, but I couldn't get it. It's gone.
And Alistair, just in case you're on the verge of sending me a 500-word essay on it, I don't care about pineal gland decalcification in the same way that you and others might. Like, I love it when people like my wife Sarah and Damo and Alistair Mills say pineal gland decalcification, but yes. I won't spend any minutes of my life learning about what it is because it just doesn't do it for me. But finding out what Ben Brown is eating and what Sam Wiedemann is eating, I find fascinating. The vegan and the meat eater, but more as a way to understand our social environment that we're in at the moment around research and our attitudes to it. So, Damo, I've actually really enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah, me too.
It's been a bit concerning in how much you've opened my and our eyes into how entrenched we're becoming in research. But I actually hope that in the same way that I can see in some of my conversations, people are beginning to realize that when we say, how are you? I'm so busy. Or do you want to catch up? No, I don't have time. Like, we've got these automatic responses. Maybe we'll get to this point where we go, where's the research? Is this automatic response that we can actually pull ourselves up about and go, well, hold on a minute. Like, do I need the research, or can I just, as you said, live in nature and experience the research rather than actually have to learn it first?
That's right. Be the research. Be the research.
Be the research.
Yes.
You know, go on a vegan diet for 12 weeks, 12 months, maybe not 12 years unless you're really determined to. Yeah. But just experience it, you know, and we, Damo and I both say this from experience, and many others as well. If you're really interested in being a carnivore only and you want to be a hunter-gatherer, like, experience it for 12 weeks. I don't know about 12 months, but, you know.
Well, do it. I mean, look, at the end of the day, what we know is that everything's reversible. So if you stuff your body up, you can bring it back to good health.
The body is very forgiving, isn't it? Yep. You'd see that every day in practice.
All the time. All the time. People can smoke and then still live a long life. So if you think about that.
That's me.
This is it, right? This is it. So feel free to try stuff on. Make sure you laugh. Make sure you stay smiley. Don't try to be grumpy every single day. That's not going to work. Don't try and not sleep. Don't try and not drink water. There's a few things that won't work for you. Don't try and play on the freeway. That's not going to work. What is important is, if you feel like inquiring and making you the guinea pig, go for gold, provided it's safe. And diet is one of the safest things you can try. You could try vegan, you could try vegetarian, you could try paleo, you could try carnivore, try Mediterranean, see what works for you. But make sure you sit down with your friends and family with your meals. And regardless of what you do, you'll probably live a long time.
Oh, well said. On that note, to all of our lovely listeners and viewers, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of 100 Not Out. To you, Damo, for your wisdom each and every week, 420 times over. Thank you so much, great man.
Thank you, Piercy. Thank you so much for thinking of this topic. It's I didn't know I was going to go there, but I'll tell you what, something inside me came out today.
I think you dropped your first F-bomb on this podcast.
Did I swear? Did I swear today?
Yeah, you dropped an F-bomb.
Sorry about that, kids.
No, it's
good. We might beat that out.
Firing them up.
Beat that out.
To find out more about Damo, head on over to DamienChristoff.com, myself, MarcusPearce.com.au. And until next time, as always, continue to make the rest of your life the best of your life.
Bye for now.
Very good.
Very good. Sorry, everybody, for dropping the F-bomb. Gee whiz.
You can't. You can't apologise. There's far more concerning things happening in the world than an F-bomb. I actually think it has been dropped a couple of times, maybe by guests, just not by ourselves. Maybe we have dropped it. Maybe we've become a bit loose. Who knows? Alistair Mills, much love, lads. Good on you, Alistair.
Thanks, Alistair.
Helen Pocock, I like that. Be the research. Nice and simple. I
don't really want to be the research with one thing that's going on at the moment. I've got to tell you, I don't really want to be the research for that one. Let me know how that one goes, everyone else. But
well, I'll say it. Everyone that says I can't wait to get the vaccine as long as I don't go first. that's the one. That's the epitome of I don't want to be the research.
Yeah.
But as we say, each to their own. And I will just hop on my little ranty high horse for a moment.
Yes.
This is what I love, and this is my obsession with the great book and the great author, Les Mis and Victor Hugo, because he looked at society and he wrote books based on society. And what I learned from many stories is without things, and I learned this from you and Sarah and chiropractors and the rest, without sickness, you can't have wellness. So everything that's going on in that world at the moment gives us a level of purpose and a bee in our bonnet and buttons to press and a vigor and a spice that
true.
If everything was just so calm and same and I don't want to say vanilla because I know that's your favorite ice cream. You'd be like, yes, if everything was vanilla, it'd be
Vanilla's awesome, mate.
But if everything was winning all the time and we never had losing, I mean, I'm a nervous wreck watching the football at the moment. I know what you're like, but it's the risk of losing. You can't aim to win without risking losing. So it's the same with health and wellness. It's the same with love and hate. That's what I love about books and movies and plays like Les Mis, and that's the art and philosophy. There's no science in Les Mis. There's no science in The Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's an art. It's the art of writing, and it's a philosophy. That's what I love about chiropractic, about naturopathy, and even a lot of medicine. There's an art and a philosophy, like dosage. This is not research. Like there was a Paracelsus who said, dosage. It's like dosage is the medicine. Dosage will kill and heal. It's the dosage that is like too much water will drown you. Not enough water will dehydrate you.
Yeah.
Like, do we call that science? Do we call that philosophy? Like, at the end of the day, I don't think it was termed science when it was first coined. But now we want to research the heck out of it. How much water should I drink? How many meals? At what time of the day?
Yes.
Do I eat in the morning or the night?
Yes.
What?
I
know. Anyway. We go forward, don't we? Shivers. It's a bit like, this is just so politically incorrect, but I'll say it anyway. It's a bit like people that intermittent fast for years.
We're still alive, right?
Fasting.
We're still alive. Okay, good. Just making sure.
Yep.
Just making sure.
But intermittent fasting, tell me if I'm wrong, but the whole idea of intermittent is that it's somewhat random, like the windscreen.
Yes, I know, exactly.
The rain comes on your windscreen.
Yes.
They're intermittent.
Yes.
So intermittent fasting, it's been simplified. Like, I don't know if the windscreen wipers are the 14 hours on and the 10 hours when you're not eating and the 10 hours off, if that's the intermittent. But I don't see why you'd intermittent fast every day for 1 or 2 or 3 years. At the same time, I know people that swear by it and love it, so I'm not saying that they're wrong and I'm right. All I'm saying is that I don't think it's so we latch onto something and then we do it all the time, every day. Although at the same time, this is what I do that as well.
Yeah.
I eat the same thing every day.
Yeah. Well, if you did that between 12 and 8, then that'll be intermittent rather than every day.
Yeah.
Freaking wankers. Seriously. Like, tell me, what does intermittent mean? It doesn't mean I do it every single day the same time. Like, that's not intermittent.
Okay, now you've got me.
Seriously.
Intermittent definition. Occurring at irregular intervals, not continuous or steady.
You're right.
So the continuity of doing it every day is probably what makes Damo and I laugh. And again, we're coming from the view of like, we fasted for days, we've done cleanses, we've been vegan and vegetarian, we've done, I don't think we're coming here from the high horse of not experiencing.
No, we're not. But it's the ridiculousness of it. Like, it's the it's not necessarily ignorance, but it's like it's like, yeah, kind of blindly led into, without question or without any kind of hesitation or any kind of cynicism, you go, oh, okay then, no worries, I might do that too. Like, there's
and
something.
Then someone's hungry in the morning and they go, I can't eat right now because I'm intermittent fasting. The people that
until
do it that I like,
until 12 o'clock.
Yeah. I like it when my friends who are intermittent fasters go, you know what, I'm hungry, I'm going to eat, because if I don't, I'm not going to be able to be present at that next meeting or good with my kids or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that's where I feel like, okay, there's some wisdom and independent thinking coming in there. It's when people are like, no, I can't because that's what the rules say. I'm like, what rules? Whose rules?
Yeah.
Are you sure they're your rules, not someone else's rules? Anyway, better jump off the high horse.
Drop the mic. Hopefully
Alistair Mills is loving this. I think he's made the last 10 comments on the Facebook feed.
It's like the last 10 inside 50s have been with Alistair Mills.
Good comments though, Alistair.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Thanks, Alistair.
Bingo. Yes, the meaning of the word. Yep.
Thank you.
Anyway.
Thank you everyone who joined us, stuck around, listened to our banter and our grumpiness.
Anna
But
Rubinstein next week, I think.
looking forward to that. Anna Rubinstein, tell your friends and family to get onto this one, particularly anybody with a boy at around probably 13 to 16 years old. Get them to tune into this particular live that we'll do next Wednesday, which is really important. It's a great message. Anna Rubinstein, the author of Making of Men, and it's going to be great.
Take it easy, Facebook.
See you later, everybody. That is right, Deb. It is jumping on the bandwagon. See you later.